Hey friends, welcome to the Inner Spark podcast. I'm your host, Casey Tayton. If you're looking to hear stories of transformation and personal growth, this podcast is for you. My guest and I will be sharing those sparking moments that has changed them into living a more fulfilling, authentic life. I'm so excited for you to hear each unique story. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hey friend, welcome back to the Inner Spark podcast. I'm your host, Casey Tayton. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Christine Marcario. She is a mother to 3 amazing kids, a wife, a fur mama. She is an intuitive teacher and manifestation mentor. She is the host of the Aligned and Abundant podcast, and after more than 19 years as a middle school English teacher, she turned her life's passions into her dream business of guiding women to live their most aligned, abundant, and authentic lives. Whew, that's powerful. Through intuitive teaching, soulful mentorship, and grounded manifestation practices, Christine helps women reconnect with their truth and create a life that actually feels like theirs by doing one-on-one coaching. And she also has a private community. I want to tell you guys a little bit real fast before she starts talking, just about the beautiful person she is and that I've got to know. So it's really kind of a weird story of we were both in Kathy Heller's community and we both went to a retreat together. And before we went to this retreat, I got this feeling that maybe she didn't like me or like we didn't have the same vibe, and I kind of got awkward vibes from her. But it's funny because she always ended up on my screen, and one day someone said to me, "You guys always end up on my screen next to each other, and you guys both look a lot alike." Which is really funny because I had never seen that or even thought of that. So when we went to the retreat, I was determined that I was going to get to know her because I want to give everybody like the best chance. And I was like, I don't know why I felt that energy, that vibe, but I felt like it wasn't true in my heart and soul that there was more to her that I wanted to get to know. So I'm going to call myself out and just say I got to talk to her a little bit at the retreat, and we did this practice where you got to hold someone's hand and stare in their eyes for 2 minutes. And I intentionally grabbed her hands. I was like, this is the moment that is going to change us. And I'm going to be honest, it forever changed like how I look at her, how I see her. Like it just brought our hearts and souls together. And I feel like we've connected so much then. We just stared in each other's eyes and cried, and I could feel the love in her and just the beauty inside and out from her. She's just an amazing human being. It's gonna make me cry talking about it. And it's just funny that sometimes we get in our own minds and our own heads of like judgment of people. It's like, and it was so not even true. So now I've got to know you. So now I want to say welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm so excited you're here with us today.
You're going to make me cry. It's so funny because I went into the retreat also thinking that I wanted to get to know you better. And it's just so funny that we ended up being next to each other at that exact moment because I don't think we originally were sitting by each other, but something happened and I ended up moving my spot. And when we were given the task to stare into each other's eyes and hold each other's hands, we just happened to be right there next to each other. And it was almost as if, like, the world was saying, all right, these two girls need to get together. And honestly, it was an intense moment and it's just been so good moving forward. And I'm so thankful to have a friendship with you because honestly, it's just almost like talking to another version of myself. Like we have so much in common and our hearts are always like wanting to see the best in everybody and bring that forward. Honestly, I already told you a million times, like I adore your mission and what you do. And I couldn't, I won't say I could never do it, but it would take a whole nother unlayering of my heart to really, I think I would just be so shattered. I used to want to be a social worker actually when I was growing up. And then I realized that I probably couldn't emotionally handle it because I'm also an empath. So I will be the person that drives by a car accident and the tears are like streaming down my face because like I feel the pain of like what happened or what's to come. So I was like I could never be in your shoes. And so, like just the simple fact that I get to cheer you on, like I feel like I'm still part of the cause, but I'm not like showing up in the way that you do because it really takes a special person to do so. So never for a moment do I ever want you to feel like you're already not on, like you're already on your path, like you're already doing your soul's calling. And so I just want you to hear that. And all your listeners like should know like what a freaking amazing person you are because if anyone talks to Casey on a regular basis, you know that she is one super busy lady and constantly giving love to everyone that she can at the sometimes expense of her own needs. And so, I mean, just kudos to you because I think you need to give yourself more credit than you do sometimes.
Thanks.
So, yeah, that's a little bit of intro. And I want to tell you a funny story also. So, my current husband, maybe this is a pattern. I didn't like him at first. And that's the real truth. I thought he was very annoying, and he knows this. He kept like pestering me. He was actually my mentee. So, he was a new teacher, and I was given him to mentor. And he was just so like, I was like, oh, this guy's so annoying. Like, he always just wants to talk too much. And he's such a dork. Like he showed up with like his Ninja Turtle lunchbox, and I'm like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? And then we just got to know each other, and it just became like I just like was like, oh, I see this person in a different light, and then it was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. So it's really funny how the universe works and how the judgments can be there whether they're real or perceived. So it's good to always give if there's like a curiosity there, it's good to explore that to see like why is that there? Because we see so many people throughout our days. Do you know what I mean? So it's curious when you actually like sit down and like connect with someone. And we just happened to be paired together, and that was like that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. First, I was going to say you don't get to make me cry on my own podcast. So thank you for all of that.
Could
And
be a
that's,
first.
yeah, it's definitely interesting to hear that about your husband. Like
Yeah.
how sometimes yeah, those thoughts and those feelings. And then I feel like you're a lot like me, where we want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt of being the best humans. And we want to connect with the most amazing humans that just celebrate and cheer each other on. I'm so glad you're here with us today. And I want to ask you a couple questions. You're doing so many amazing things in life. You're an amazing mom, all these things, but you're also doing such amazing work yourself. I don't even think she mentioned Reiki, but she also does Reiki. So there's so much that she does in this world to make this world just a better place and to get people to open their eyes in different ways. So I'm just curious, when would you say that you kind of started getting into all of this stuff? And, like, was it as a child? Have you always been this way? I'm curious.
Yeah. So spirituality for me has been something that I was always interested in. And I think partially because my cousin is a natural born psychic medium. And that was something, it was a gift that was passed down generation through generation. So growing up on my street, her grandmother and her mother were always babysitters for us, like helping my mom out. My mom usually worked two jobs. So I was just naturally always around my cousin who's about 7 years older than me. So we kind of always talked about spirits and the other side and heaven and like why we're here, and those conversations just continue to grow. She was my best friend growing up, and we've never really fully disconnected, like we go through ebbs and flows. Like sometimes we're super super close and other times we're not, but that's just like the way that life brings us. I think at the core, she definitely piqued my interest in spirituality and all of those things. And then growing up, I want to say when I was in high school, the movie The Craft came out, and while that was like also like a demonstration of like what not to do,
Yeah.
it definitely did pique me and my best friend's interest at the time. And we thought we were gonna like, I don't know, make some stuff happen, but usually it's making your crush fall in love with you or something like that, which didn't work, by the way. I think I've just always been interested in spirituality, and then from like a religious standpoint, I wasn't really raised religious. So we didn't really have a set church, or we didn't go to church every Sunday. And so when I was in my early 20s, I became really kind of curious as to where I did fit in this realm of life. I went to Barnes and Nobles and I bought Religion for Dummies. And I literally read every single religion that was in the book, and I highlighted what resonated with me and what felt good. And what I came to realize is that I didn't feel like I fit in any of the boxes. I fit in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of Judaism, a little bit of Christianity. So I decided that I was going to be my own church, and I was going to just live by how I felt called,
Mhm.
knowing that I'm always truly supported by the divine, by God. I've always prayed to God, and then as I've gotten older, I've kind of changed it to source, universe, and I kind of exchange those.
Mhm.
But at the core, I think that we're all souls, we're all love and light, we're all connected. And at the end of the day, we are really all part of the one. We're here to experience life. And that belief has always been within me for as long as I can remember, that we're all here to experience for God. So I've just been wanting to learn more and more about like the archangels and how they can assist us. And so on my podcast, I was being guided by my spirit team to do that archangel series. And I actually only have one more archangel to discuss on that podcast. And then I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do next? And then I had the download the other day and I was like, oh, that's where I'm going next. So I am just really trying to be more intuitively led. What feels really good? What inspires me? Because I think that, like everyone has their own fingerprints, we are all unique souls here for a specific mission, a reason. And that might change. Like at my core, I've always wanted to help people. And so being a teacher, that naturally fed that. And now that I'm no longer a traditional teacher in a public school classroom, I'm still a teacher and I'm still helping people, but it's in a different way.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about your cousin. Let's talk about that for a second, if that's okay.
Sure.
Did
Yeah.
you ever feel that it was weird or um this is why I'm asking this. So my grandmother, she believed in crystals and she had this computer that she could like help you with and just all these healing things. They didn't believe in Western medicine. They didn't take any prescriptions, anything like that. She was always just, like hold these crystals, this crystal's for this. She was always talking about different things like that. They did like acupuncture, all these things. And when I was younger, I was like embarrassed and it was like, don't tell your friends, don't talk about this. Like, put this over your head when you have a headache and use this and take these natural things. And so, we didn't talk about it. So, did you guys talk about it or how was that?
Yeah, so it's really kind of interesting because in high school, she would actually get bullied and people would call her Carrie, like that movie, like where they pour like the blood all over her because like she's weird and different. So my cousin would definitely get bullied because of it. But from my standpoint, there are people that definitely like believed her. And then there's, of course, always skeptics, whether they're in the family or not, because I think that we're all at different levels of what we're able to like believe, what we're able to witness. So I've seen firsthand, my cousin read for someone and know things that no one else would know. You know what I mean? Like names, like specifics. Like she's really, really talented. Like she's helped the police like locate missing people. She's helped solve like cases. And, she's been offered television shows and whatnot, but she didn't want to expose like her family. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I firsthand have seen that, but I can totally understand where some people might not necessarily want to out that because it can be looked at and it still can be looked at as like weird or like woo woo, people like to say. But I think that as time is continuing to go on, people are being more enlightened in general with, like, for example, Reiki used to be like, oh, what is that? And now it's being used in hospitals. Like now it's being used on like hospice patients. Now it's being used to help assist with a cancer patient. So it's really becoming more mainstreamed. And I'm also in a big friend group of the most talented people who we all talk about these things. Like it's a norm, right? So, like
Yeah.
yesterday, for example, my friend asked and we have a study group, and she said she recently lost two pets and she's like devastated because they were like her babies. And she was like, what do you guys believe? Like, are they really going to be waiting for me over the rainbow bridge, or are they going to reincarnate and I'm going to miss them? It's a real question. So we all chimed in and we're like, okay, well, this is what I think. Well, this is what I believe. And I'm not around many people that can have those conversations.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, for example, my husband didn't believe in a lot of this. He was
Mhm.
born and raised Catholic,
Yeah.
church every single Sunday, CCD, like the full gamut. But now he's like, even yesterday, he's like, did you sense anything this morning in our bedroom? And I'm like, I didn't, but what did you pick up? And so, like, it's amazing how being around that stuff can start. They say everyone is psychic, they say everyone has the capabilities. It's a tool. It's a matter of, are you going to strengthen that tool, or are you going to pretend it doesn't exist? And everyone gets a choice, everyone has free will. So
Yeah.
it's whatever you want to dive into.
I love how you share that and that you also have a community that you can turn to. And I think it is becoming more less woo-woo and more of the
Mhm.
norm that people can talk about it. And I think it's interesting that you have had this your whole life, so you've got to see it, you've gotten to witness it. That's super powerful. I think it's always interesting, like your husband saying that now, because it is when you start coming around those people, it's like anything. You start, you get curious. And so I love that you got curious, and I know that you read a lot. And so I think it's interesting that you went back and read, like, where do I fit in? What religion do I fit in? I grew up in a Methodist church, but not every Sunday. And so it is like, what do I believe in? And I think it's really important that we are able to get curious and not have judgment pushed on us. And we're open to keep our minds and just to allow like what comes in and what feels right for me instead of having things pushed on us and forced on us of this is what you believe and then having to try to like take off all those layers of like this isn't what I believe, this isn't what I feel. That's a big that we could go into a whole conversation about that.
We sure could.
Yeah. Can I ask you why you left teaching?
Yeah, so ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be one of like three things. I wanted to either be a teacher, an interior designer, or work for NASA because I loved the stars and I always felt like a deep calling towards the stars. Like I still, even in like the winter is the best, like to go out in New Jersey and look up at the sky because there's so much pollution around here. Like you don't always get to see the sky, and at least in the wintertime, it's a little bit starker. So one of those three things. And I didn't think I was smart enough for NASA. So that one went down the drains, which is a whole nother story. But I didn't think I was smart enough. And then another part of me was like, okay, I'll be this amazing, cool businesswoman. But for some reason, like it was in my head that I couldn't be this successful, amazing business person and have a family. So I
Mm.
felt like I had to choose. So I was like, well, I'd rather have a family than be like this successful, amazing business person. Like I'm talking like think like, I don't know, like um what is that show? The movie The Devil Wears Prada. Like
Yeah.
that's who I like imagined. And I'm like, clearly she won't have time for a family, which is funny because that's not true at all. Like you
Yeah.
can have it all. But I didn't know that growing up. So I think that once my identity, right, from like
Mm.
anyone that would ask me the question, it's almost like it got locked in, like, oh, she's going to be a teacher. She's going to be a teacher. And it felt okay to me. I applied and I had to choose a second major at the university that I was at. I was commuting because I paid for my college education mostly on my own. My parents helped out where they could, but generally, like, I paid for most of it on my own. So I went to community college at first, and then I went to a university, Kane University here for teaching, and you had to have a double major. So I was like, all right, I'll choose English. So I graduated with elementary ed and English. And the cool thing was I was the last year to graduate with elementary ed being K through 8. So after I graduated, it changed to K through 5, and then middle school was like a separate specialized certification. So I just went down that path. I graduated and I got a job my first year out of college. I did not start in September. I started in October. I took a position for someone that was leaving. She was going through some medical issues, and I stayed in that district for 14 years, and it was a lot of fun. You meet like amazing people, and the kids are awesome, and it's definitely not all, rainbows and butterflies. Like every day you're putting
Yeah.
out fires, you're putting out, emotional fires, physical fires. Like in the district that I was in, like fights were like very common.
Mhm.
Um, Kids would be on drugs. It was just like I chose that though. Like I wanted to help people. And sometimes like you were the light in their day. So I just leaned into that. But I started feeling burned out because it's a constant. It's go go go, and this is what people don't get, and I still believe it. Until you are a teacher, leave your judgments because you have no idea how much mental work goes into the day on top of trying to have 18 conversations at once and then remember what Joey needed. What does this one need? Oh, you got to get back to that parent. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think at a point I went for my admin and my supervisor certs, and then I started applying because I wanted to move up. I ideally wanted to have my own elementary school.
Mm.
And that dream just started to gently fall away because I would get the interview and I would be like second place. And so who just graduated would get it ahead of me. And so I kind of got tired of the politics
Yeah.
because that's what it ended up becoming. The assistant superintendent of one of the districts I was in actually sat me down and said, listen, you could run your own elementary school at this point, but so and so has been waiting longer, so she's going to get it. It became like, it was no longer like me guessing, it was like clear in my face. And I'm like, well, screw that. Like, I'm over this. So I decided to look at some other options, and then I dabbled into some other options, like still in teaching, but just different scenarios. And so then I was in a new role and I had way too much time on my hands. I was actually so bored. I was like, something's got to give. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was also pregnant with my daughter, who is now 5.5. And I got laid off. I was
Mhm.
not tenured anymore. And so tenure, in case you don't know, is when you're basically guaranteed employment. And because I was a new employee to the district, I was not guaranteed employment. And they were getting rid of the position. It was kind of like it was a new position that they were trying out. And they decided that they could not pay me and kind of tack it on to somebody else and still get the same job done. So I was devastated. And at first I was really, really upset. But then my good friend talked to me and she's like, no, no. She's like, this is a blessing in disguise.
Mm.
You are going to roll with this. You're going to ride unemployment out. Because I also felt guilty. I was like, God, like I'm going to go on unemployment. I'm like, that's for people that need it. That's not for me. And she was like, no. She's like, you're going to stay home with your baby and you're going to like enjoy this time and you're going to get paid to do it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of time, but eventually I was like, all right, this is working for me. I kept getting more and more extensions and more money and all that. So like it really worked out for me. So after a while, my husband and I actually met in a school district. Like I said, he was my mentee. And Okay, so side note, if you're not putting it together, I
Yeah.
got divorced.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And then I met my husband, my
Yeah.
current husband.
Yes.
Yes, that's important information. I met my first husband in high school. So
Yeah.
we were together for 16 years. And then I was like, okay, this is no longer serving both of us. Let's agree to part ways. And so we did. Um, we had two beautiful boys together, and we still co-parent and do all of that jazz.
Mm.
But then I met my current husband, and then we had my daughter. So yes, fill in all of those gaps. So my husband was like, he was looking to get out of the district because he wanted more money and closer to home. And so he was offered a position. And then he's like, hey, by the way, there's a middle school English position open right there. And he's like, how cool would it be to work together again? And I was like, ugh. I was like, I don't want to go back to work because I wasn't ready. This was
Yeah.
like January-ish. And I was like, all right, I figured I would start like with a fresh new year in September. So like mentally I was not ready. But of course I caved. So I got hired, and then we both got hired. And it was funny because he got the job before me, but I actually started before him. So it was really kind of funny. And we didn't commute together because he was at the high school and I was at the middle school, but they literally shared the same parking lot. Like we could have, but we were like just on a different time schedule. And so I did that, and I had like the worst year of my career because I was not mentally there. And a side note, my daughter had a febrile seizure literally like a week before I was to start. So I was like a hot mess. Because here I was entrusting my daughter to an in-home daycare babysitter who, by the way, is like a godsend. She's freaking amazing. Like I love her to death. And Liliana stayed there for, I think like 3 or 4 years. Most amazing, caring, loving person. Like we could not have left her in better hands. But at the time, like it was all new to me. So my nervous system was so caught off guard.
Yeah.
Worst year ever. The kids treated me really poorly. I'm saying that to be authentic. They told me at the
Mhm.
end of the year that they purposefully treated me badly because they wanted their teacher back. Their teacher left mid-year, and they were very upset because she was a freaking amazing teacher. But she was ready to move on. She was burnt out. She was actually me,
Mhm.
tired of being overlooked. She wanted admin. Admin job came. She got overlooked. She did everything for the school, and she was pissed. So she's like, see you later. Bye. Um, so the kids really gave me a hard time. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I got rehired, but I resigned. The first weekend after school was out, I sat with it. I gave myself like 4 or 5 days, and then I sent my resignation letter and I said, nope, not coming back. Thank you anyway.
Mhm.
And so from there, I got really curious because there was this nagging feeling that would not go away. That was like, you are not supposed to be teaching anymore. You're supposed to be doing something different. I'm like, well, I don't know what it is. Like, I can't figure it out. So along this whole time, I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, how can I make my Reiki business provide enough for me and my family? And my mentor was like, listen, it's not realistic. She's like, as much as you love it, she's like, it's not realistic. She's like, the only way that I can do it is because I'm retired. I have a pension. Like, that's how I can have a full time Reiki business. It's so difficult when you have 3 children
Yeah.
and you're like, like you're a solopreneur, like you're promoting yourself, you're getting word of mouth references. She's like, you can keep trying, but it's going to be hard. And so I was like, all right. So I ended up doing a few different things. I was an assistant director for a preschool, and they basically did like a bait and switch. So they're like, all right, well, we're going to put you in the classroom for a little bit. And I never left the classroom. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I'm supposed to be in the office, like talking to
Yeah.
adults, not wiping 3-year-olds' noses. Like I'm a middle school teacher. Like I don't do like babies.
Yeah.
So that did not feel good. And then I got the flu from one of those children,
Mhm.
and I was knocked on my butt for like 8 days. I lost like 8 pounds, and I was like, no. I was like, this is the universe saying, get the heck out of here. So I politely resigned from that one. And then I was offered a middle school job, and I was like, the salary was just not good. And so I turned that job down. And then this other person called me and she was like, and I told her, I flat out, I was like, if you're going to give me some lowball salary, I was like, don't even waste your breath. Don't even bother. Move on to the next person. And I guess she really liked that transparency.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm going to talk to HR and get you the best price I can. And she did. It was the most money I've ever made. And so for her, like, I was like super grateful. And so then I went into a new position and I really, really liked it. But again, the nagging feelings started coming, and then the universe did what it does. And I ended up being forced out of that job. I was put on administrative leave for basically getting into an argument with my principal. But
Hmm.
side note, and you might not know this about me, Casey, but I can be a little bit of a fireball. So in my past, I have, God, this is embarrassing, but I have told principals off. I have told people where to put it because I am about what's right,
Yeah.
not what you want, not what's your political agenda, etc. I was like so proud of myself. I was like, I didn't curse. I didn't I didn't do anything crazy, but I got the worst consequence. I was like in total like shock. I was in shock. And it happened to be on my birthday of last year, which is tomorrow, like is January 30th,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, well, dang. I was like, well, and it was so funny because I knew, I don't know, as soon as like I just had a gut feeling, I was like, damn, I was like, I just got fired. I was like, oh man, I know it. I know it. And then sure enough, pack your shit and get out of here. I was like, okay. But it ended up again being a blessing because I got paid to stay at home
Hmm.
and figure out what I wanted to do. And so I started doing more spiritual workshops and more getting like really clear on what I wanted to do and what my purpose was. And it took a lot. Like I will say that I was definitely traumatized. It was
Oh,
not
yeah.
easy. I cried the most I've cried in a really long time. I got a therapist. Like it was very traumatic. And then the therapist put together some pieces for me, like that I have issues with authority. And because I am just as like I'm just as much a leader as you. And so we did a little work around there, and I've been so much better for it once I've recognized that. And so now I'm like, well, I don't want to be micromanaged. I want to be my own person and I want to
Yeah.
still do good things. And so what am I going to do with that? So I feel like the universe kind of like ripped the rug out from underneath me and gave me a push off the ledge, but also, hey, we're going to catch you. You know what I mean? Like we got you, but you got to figure it out. So that's where I'm at. It's like the because what happened was it was like this constant battle that was going on in my mind every single day. And I had an hour commute, so I had a lot of time to think about
Mm,
this.
yeah.
It was like one part of me was like, just stay where you're at. You're making the most amount of money that you ever have. You have amazing colleagues. I really did. I had a really great, strong team that I got to talk to and work together. And we had a system and we really enjoyed each other's company. And then there was another part of me that was like, this doesn't feel good. I'm bored. I feel discontented. I feel like there's something more that I'm just not seeing or getting. Like, so it was this battle every single day. And then obviously the choice was taken away. And then, of course, like I had those moments. I had that panic and I applied to some jobs and I
Yeah.
got like 4 interviews and I painfully turned them each down because I was like, what am I doing? I cannot keep doing this because
Yeah.
I was just worried that if I were to take another teaching job, the universe was going to somehow make a worse situation. Like this was kind of easy. Okay, I raised my voice
Yeah.
because I didn't like how he was talking to me. So I was like, I'm not going to tolerate how you're talking to me. And apparently that's enough to lose your job. So it
I'm gonna
taught me a
stop.
lot.
I'm gonna stop you
Yeah,
right there for a
please.
second. Yeah, this is so good. You've always been a teacher. You can see it when you talk about it. You loved it, and you loved the years and the experience. You had parts where you didn't love,
Hmm.
and also within you this whole time, you had this belief of, well, first of all, just shout out to teachers. They are underpaid. They put up with more than anybody should have to ever put up with. I go into schools and speak, and I see fights and
Hmm.
I hear words come out of their mouth. And it's interesting that you as an adult would say something to a principal that a student may say 10 times worse, and there's like no consequences. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's just interesting how it works. But I feel like God, universe, whatever you want to call it, was like testing you, like, how much more? Now what? Now what are you gonna do? And so it's really interesting that you went through this, and I want to give you just like big love for all the grief that you had to deal with because it feels like sometimes, a lot of times, the majority of people I've talked to have gone through something that's like really just changed us. And on all different levels in all areas of our life. And it feels like that was like your pivotal moment of, I can't do this. This was not right. This is what I stand for. These are my beliefs. And I know you have a big heart, so I know you love big. And whatever you were fighting for was probably something, for somebody or something that you really, truly, deeply believed in. And then just to feel like you were to blame or to work through all those emotions yourself, big shout out to you for going to see a counselor. I see a counselor myself. I think everybody should have counselor, therapist, whatever you go to, someone else to talk to because we don't always see it and we can't always feel it unless we see it like have a mirror back reflecting on us and giving us different options. So I just want to give you so much love. That's a lot. A lot of change, a lot of you were following what your passion was, and you kept getting thrown these different things. And I'm just so proud of you for standing up for yourself and saying, no, I am worth more than this. Because a lot of people would have just settled and been like, okay, I'm going to take this. And I know there's a lot of teachers that are settling because they're like, well, I have to have a job, so it doesn't matter if I'm worth way more than this. I'm just going to take it and keep living this life. And you were like, no, I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you. I hear that and I receive that. And I had the meeting with the healer, and it was a complimentary 30-minute session. And it was like it unlocked like years.
Mm.
He's just such a gifted person. It was like I cried for like 45 minutes after the call, and I just voice noted everything that came out of me because I wanted to remember, because it was such a significant point out. Like I felt so seen, and it really became a tool for me to move forward because, like I shared with you before, I was making the most amount of money that I have ever in my career, to then go to, I'm literally starting at zero right now
Hmm.
and building my way back up. And I have goals and dreams that I'm going to surpass
Oh,
that
yeah,
by
absolutely.
many. And, working with amazing people that we have in our lives, like Kathy Heller and Jennifer List, like
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that because I put in the work. I'm putting in the work to believe in myself. And that's also part of my mission behind my podcast, Aligned and Abundant, and behind my community is I want other people to see this too. Like you don't have to stay in what I would say is what my traditional phrase is, on that hamster wheel, because I was so bored out of my mind. Like, of course, I loved my family and there were moments that were amazing. There were laughs and all of that. But driving to work, I'd be like, oh my God, can this day be over already? Like I hadn't even like left the bed half the days. And I'd be like, oh God, is it time to get home yet? And that's like no way to live,
Yeah.
especially even then when it gets a little darker, even then when you're in the winter time, at least in the summer, you've got the countdown to the
Yeah.
end of the school year. Like I started my countdown. You know what's sad? Going back, I started my countdown like day one. I was like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
68 days. I can do this. So it was
Yeah.
like, like part of me was like so excited to be there and happy to be there. But the other part of me was like, all right, get me out of here. And I had a little thing on my desk, which is like the reasons of why I was there. And of course, number one was to help people. But the other thing was like, summer's off. I'll be off with the kids. I had to convince myself that I was
Yeah.
like to be there. And like I said, my soul was like, nope, next floor. You got to move
Yeah.
up. You got to get out of here. And so eventually the desire to become an administrator or supervisor just naturally fell away because I saw the newer supervisors or vice principals like working their butts
Yeah.
off. I mean, staying there till like 7:30 at night, knowing that they have a family at home waiting for them. And I was like, that's not the life I want. It does not resonate with me anymore. To deal with the parents are out of control.
Yeah.
Sorry, parents. I'm a parent.
Yeah.
But they're like, my kid would never, like, bro, you don't have any clue what your child does at school. Like, you are living in a delusional world, my friend. But you can't tell parents that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and the real truth is teachers are who the kids turn to. This is gonna sound sad, but I mean, not that there's good parents and they get them on the weekends and they get them after school, but so many kids play sports, do other things after school, have all these events. And so for a lot of these kids, the teachers are the person they look up to, they look to love for, like they count on them. And so when teachers get burnt out, then it affects everybody.
yeah.
And like I don't think, parents are like, "Oh, my kid would never do that at home." It's like, "Well, how much do you see?" Like not to come across rude, but I don't think teachers just get enough credit for how much they're actually raising kids. All
Oh,
these
yeah.
growing up, like they're
Oh,
the
yeah.
impact. I mean, I remember my teachers, and they're the impacts that are being imprinted on your life as you go.
It's so true. It's so true. And the other day, even, and it goes both ways. The other day, I was literally thinking about one of my high school English teachers, and I remember getting a B plus on one of these stories that I wrote, and I freaking was so proud of it, and I loved it. I still have it, actually. And she gave me a B plus, and I was like, what the heck? Like, I poured my heart and soul into this, and I was so disappointed. And it's like, this is like 30 years later. And finally, I had the epiphany the other day. It's like, her opinion is just one opinion, and my story's amazing. And other people might think it's amazing. And this was literally like this week. I'm like, where is that coming from? But you don't understand that. Like, everyone that we have that connection with who shapes our lives, like they really do have an impact on you, whether you're paying attention to it or not. It's like in your like field, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so I just really always try to be that person because like I said, I most of my career was spent in districts where the kids needed more. And it wasn't every single kid, but it was majority of the kids.
Mhm.
You would have the kid who would wear the same clothes every day. And I would go out and buy clothes for them and give it to them like secretly, like not secretly, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not in front of
Yeah.
the other kids. Like I didn't want to embarrass them. You never want to embarrass a kid because that right there is like,
It's
don't do that. And it's also there's such a difference in teaching. Some teachers are like, you're not here to be their friend, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm here to do everything that this person needs, that this little soul needs, whether it's, to talk about the home life or to talk about, the soccer game over the weekend or to talk about how they got into a fight with their mom this morning and now they feel like crap. Like I'm here to do it all. And if you don't have that heart and compassion, this is where I got a little judgy. I'm like, maybe this isn't the career for you,
hmm
but I'm going to keep doing me, whether you like it or not. So, like, I wasn't always everyone's cup of tea because some people were just like robots. And I'm like, I don't understand where your heart is. Like, you can teach math to anybody, but can you get to someone's heart? I still talk to students that I had when I first started teaching, like they're having babies and getting married. And the fact that they're like, you're still my favorite teacher is wild to me. But it's also like, that's the rewarding part.
Yeah. That's it's so true. I just can't give enough credit to teachers. And yeah, I could go on
Yeah. Shout out to all
forever.
the good teachers.
Yes. Shout out to everyone who is leaving all the good impact on the kids and teens because it's going to stick with them forever. This just shows what a big heart, caring heart you have and how you pour your heart. And it kind of makes a little more sense. Like we talk a lot about different things. And so it makes a lot more sense to me, connects the dots of like where your heart has come from and what it's been through. Because every soul, I believe, has a path, and we've all gone on these different journeys. I know you're on such a fun, exciting new journey now. If you were to say, like, was that your sparking moment when you got fired? I don't want to project on you. I want to allow you to say, what was that moment that you were like, I'm ready, fully ready to step into something else?
I think that really was it because I began to really then see that I don't know how to explain it, but it was like it just became clear to me that I had tried this because I kept wanting to leave teaching.
Mhm.
Like I kept trying to be brave enough to do it. And that's when like I dabbled in like those other jobs. Oh, I was also a curriculum development specialist for like 2 years. That job I loved. I really, really loved that job, but the pay was not there. It was not supporting my family. I was going into debt. So my heart was happy, but my wallet was not happy. And I was maxed out in the position. It was a grant funded position. There was nothing more that we could do about it. So at one point I was actually doing that and teaching. And then I was like, all right, one of them's got to give. And that's fine. That's when I resigned from the teaching year of hell. And I leaned into that full time. But then I was like, all right, this isn't cutting the bills. And then that's when I caved and went back into the classroom. So it's like I kept trying to
Yeah.
escape, but I didn't have the belief in myself that I could make it work. And
Mhm.
so then that's where hiring a coach and getting into a community with a coach, it like filled all of the gaps. It started to put the pieces back together last year of, you know what? I am someone. I am part of the one. I am the light. And it's so funny because actually it's right in front of me. I've had this little plaque forever and it says you are loved.
Mhm.
And it's always been the core of who I am because I feel like I am loved because I am love. I am God. I am part of God.
Yeah.
And I want to always, that's my message, like you are loved because at the end of the day, you can have the crappiest, crummiest life. And this can be a whole nother podcast, but I feel like we're all here for a reason.
Yeah.
And we have soul contracts to keep. Like it could be controversial and we have free will. So I'm not 100% solid on where I fully believe, but I feel
Mhm.
like for to some extent, we choose experiences that we want to go through to grow and to
Yeah.
evolve as a soul. But then I also, like I said, my heart breaks when someone has something bad happen to them. So I'm constantly torn there. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're all love and we're all connected. So it's like the ripple effect. What happens to me has an effect on you and vice versa. It's like the ocean. We're all different waves breaking and crashing at the same time and rising in height. But the best parts of our lives, we're all separate, but we're all together. We're all one. And my uncle, who has now passed, once said to me, he's like, Christine, he's like, there's so much more out there in the world. Like, imagine yourself as like a grain of sand on a beach. He's like, we're all individuals, but we're all connected. And that always stood out to me. And so I think at the end of the day, I just want to be the best version of myself because I don't know what else is the point of life then? Like, are you here to be miserable? I don't
Yeah.
know. Sign me up for the worst life ever. Like, maybe, I don't know. I just know that one of my friends who is very gifted said, "You this is funny that I'm sharing this." She said, "This is a reward life for you." She's like, "You've done a lot, you've been through a lot." She's like, "Just enjoy this one." And so I was like, okay. I was like, all right. Like, it's hard to hear. I don't know. It's weird. I'm like, of course, I want that to be true. But then nothing is easy. Like, I've been through
Yeah.
obstacles. Like, getting a divorce was like the hardest thing ever. And it wasn't because of him, it was because of my kids.
Yeah.
To have to share your kids, my kids are my freaking life. So that was hard, especially when we were not getting along in the beginning. Like he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, if it's 8:30 to 6, like you can't have them, blah blah blah." And it was like, "Oh my gosh, it was like torture." And so I had prayed to God that someone would come and help me through that time. And that's when my current husband came into play. And at first he was like I said, a mentee, and then he eventually became a friend, and then eventually he was like,
Yeah.
as soon as I said I'm getting divorced, he was like his ears like perked up. He's like, oh, this is going to go different than I maybe imagined. So it was really funny. And again, to learn all of this after the fact, like months later, the truth comes out and all of that. He had feelings for me and whatnot because I was just like clueless. I was like, on a mission. Like I had other things to focus on. Like I was not looking for love. I was just trying to survive my freaking days, to be honest.
Don't you feel like that's when the things really come, like really happen to you, is when we're not looking, not forcing, and just being able to live
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Cause like I
be.
said, I didn't even see him like in that light at all, like
Yeah.
at all. And it's so wild and crazy. And then on top of that, so whenever I feel like I can't do something or it's overwhelming, I remind myself of that because again, a divorce is no joke. And for me personally, like everyone has a different experience, but like
Mhm.
it really friggin' broke me. Like it did. It hurt. And it was something that I wanted. It was mutual. Not everyone has that same story, but we got to a point where it's like, all right, we're not good for each other. Like this is not healthy for our children. And so it didn't hurt any less though, because it's not just losing someone that you loved, it's losing that vision of how you thought your life was going to be.
Yeah.
And more than that, like I was super close with his family. And
Mm.
so I lost them too because of of course they're going to choose
Yeah.
him. They're not going to
Right.
choose me. Like,
Yeah.
so I lost like everything.
Mhm.
And so that was really hard. But on the other side of it, and now that time and healing has happened, I would do it again because it
Yeah.
got me to a different spot. It got me to a better space, and we had tried. It wasn't like we didn't try. We tried for years. And we were just really good at pretending everything was okay on the surface. Like people were shocked, but we agreed that we weren't going to fight in front of people. If we were going to scream and yell, it was after the event. You know what I mean? Like on the
Yeah.
surface, we looked like we had it all going on. And I don't know why we were like that, but that's just what we kind of mutually agreed that we would do.
That's, I mean, but that just speaks of who you are, of you don't take all your drama, all your things out into the world. And also it then people look at your kids, like, oh, those are the parents. That's huge to be able to. Had never been married or divorced, but I can only imagine when you see people yelling and you see everybody's like, oh, those are the parents and they can't get
Mm-hmm.
along. And so, and that you guys were able to, there's always going to be hurt feelings. Like, no one grows up, maybe I'm wrong, but no one grows up as a little girl saying, I'm going to get married and have kids and then I'm going to get divorced.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how the stories go. I
Right.
mean, if
Right.
if you're out there and that's your story, please let us know because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that, but I think it's very, very powerful that you guys were able to, even, yes, there's gonna be feelings. Feelings come up.
Mm-hmm.
You had children together. That puts people in a situation you have to work through, and then you don't get your kids full time. And so I'm just celebrating that you guys were able to work through it and just be good parents because there's so much. Now you're remarried and you have just a beautiful family, and it's so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And it's so crazy because when things were starting to get serious with me and my husband, like I was very serious with him and I said, like, listen, like we are a package deal. I was like, if you can't accept my kids, then like this is not going to go anywhere. Like I will be super serious and honest with you. And he's 5 years younger than me. So he was like, there's a lot. Like I had been through life already. And
Yeah.
here he was, never married. Like his longest relationship was like 2 years. So this was like a big thing for him to take on. Like all of a sudden, we're going to talk like seriousness. And like without a doubt, he was like, yes. And I was just like, all right, let's see where this goes then.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's really awesome. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
All right, you are doing so much good in the world, and I want you to tell them, tell all the listeners what you're doing now, what you're pivoting into, and where things are going.
Yeah, so it took me a minute to really get clear on what I want to do because a part of me was like mad. I was like, I'm not a teacher anymore. Like, I don't want to be labeled as a teacher. And my friend, who's also like spiritual and gifted in her own way, she was like, I call bullshit. She's like, you are always going to be a teacher. She's like, you are going to use your intuitive gifts to teach. And so that's where I'm at. I am at a place where I want people to learn more about their spirituality, develop their gifts, and that's what I'm doing through my community in school, the platform school, that's SKOOL, and offering one-on-one coaching sessions for the woman that is ready to get off of the hamster wheel, to put more spark into their life, to find the abundance in the everyday moments, because I was so caught up on just surviving the day and living for the weekends and then getting like Friday I was exhausted. Ask any teacher. Like I was in bed by like 9 because I was wiped out from carrying everything. Saturday you feel great. Saturday night you start feeling like, oh dang, tomorrow is Sunday already. And then there's a thing that teachers call the Sunday scaries because it's back to reality tomorrow. And it's like, dang, here we are again. So I am just now in a season of, you know what, being open to the opportunities that come knocking on my door that feel aligned. And whether it's working with someone one-on-one or it is hosting, I'm so in love with doing moon workshops.
Mm.
You know, they can be individually packaged. Like if you're feeling the moon on a random month, like I do Zoom meetings where we talk about the moon, its energy, and I do a guided meditation, and that just lights me up and makes me feel connected and grounded. And so, yeah, that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm doing spiritual type workshops. I have a real interest in working with limiting beliefs, figuring out what they are, and then letting them go because I want people to rise and I want people to like, really, I just want people to live a more abundant and aligned life because we just get so clouded by what society expects or social media or our neighbor. Like, who the heck cares? Like, what makes you feel good? That's what I want to get down to the bottom of. And how can we have you do more of that?
Yeah. It's so good. I'm a moon and stars girl and all the things. And I got to do one of your workshops and you pulled a card for me. And the first thing you said is, I don't know what your practices are, but like about getting grounded. And I was like, oh, she's calling me out. She knows that I don't like to walk out barefoot. I don't like my feet to touch the ground. It makes me like, I don't like it. I just always wear socks and shoes. And you're like, you just need to get grounded. I'm a triple air sign, and I do need to get grounded. And it was just so funny to me, like she has that gift because here she is like calling me out and telling me, just go
Mm-hmm.
walk
Let's go
outside, go
outside.
walk in the grass, go walk in the gravel, go do something, go put your feet on the earth. And I'm like, no, like, yeah. And I could feel the resistance, but I was like, yeah, she knows exactly what I need. So it was really interesting. And the work you're doing is really, really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for being a guest and thank you for sharing all of that. Everybody has a soul's path. And I think that at the end, when you look at somebody and when we look around this world, it's really so many of us want the same thing. We want to be happy. We want to feel the love around the world. And we're getting there. We're getting there one person at a time. It's going to happen. I have faith in that.
I would challenge you to say that it already is happening. It
That,
already is happening, but it's
that
going
is
to
really good.
happen more because
I
you're
don't,
already making such a difference in this world.
oh,
Whether
thank
you
you.
realize it or give yourself enough credit,
Yeah,
you really, really are. So
thank
just,
you.
you got to see that in you.
Well, I hope you reflect that back on yourself because you're making a difference in this world and just the way you speak to people and give them the permission to be themselves and really, I mean, just even how you challenge me to look at myself.
Yeah.
So if listeners want to connect with you, what is the best way for them to find you?
Best way to find me is on Instagram at christine.marcario.coach. And that's Marcario. And you can also listen to my podcast, Aligned and Abundant. It is anywhere that you listen to your podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I'll drop those in the show notes. If you could leave us with parting advice, if someone's going to take one action step today or belief, thought, what would you leave them with?
I would advise everyone to have a daily meeting with themselves. You are so important. You are the most important person in your day, whether you believe it or not. It's like that airplane theory where if you're going down, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. Give yourself 10 minutes. You can start small, a minute, 2 minutes. Give yourself that time to meet with yourself. And what I mean by that is meditate, journal. If meditation is scary to you, start with a guided meditation. That's really where I started, with like a 5-minute guided meditation. Just find them on YouTube. And then when I found one I liked, I just stuck with it. Train your brain to get quiet, to get curious, and to connect. Like, I imagine myself, even though like we're already all connected, I literally sit on the floor next to my bed and I put my back up against my bed and I feel like I'm plugging into God, source, universe energy. And then I just sit and be still. And if a message comes through, great. And if it doesn't, I just sit in that feeling of imagining that I'm connecting, because our imagination creates reality. So why not create the best reality for yourself? And then you'll be surprised and delighted by how that can shift your life.
That's so powerful. It just gave me chills. I want to thank you so much for being here. I will leave all of her information so each of you guys can go find her. I will
Thank you
leave it
so
all in
much.
the show notes. And friends, I hope you really got to listen and tune in to her story, her journey, and her honesty, and just her own journey. And she is so real about just sharing and being open about what she's been through, the challenges, and now what she's called to be, and just seeing the light in the world. And she's doing amazing work. So that last piece of advice she gave us, I have no other words to say except for go take those steps today and go follow her. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I hope today's story inspired you to embrace your own journey of growth and change. Remember, transformation isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. If you found something that sparked you in this episode and may spark a friend, I encourage you to go share it with them. If you have your own story you would like to share, I would love to hear it, so please reach out to me. Until next time, friends, go have some fun and let those sparks fly.